ABAT.
I would like to introduce today's speakers to you all. They will be the ones guiding you through today's presentation. So firstly, we have Victa Wevarinke, who began her career at abat in 2014 as the Business Development and Sales Manager for Mexico. And since 2022, she's also served as the Vice President of abat North America, and has previously held positions at Continental Contitech in Hanover, where she also obtained her master's degree in European Studies. And joining her is Mr. David Neck, Sales Manager for abat North America, who is responsible for the US market. And before stepping into this role, Mr. Neck was a process consultant, part-time professor of international business, and director of after sales at Volkswagen in Mexico. So David and Victa, thank you again for being here, and the floor is yours.
Hello, Hannah. Thank you very much for the presentation. We are very glad to have you here today in our today's webinar. A little bit about abat. We are a German company, also located in the US. We are dedicated to offer SIP consulting and development services to the discrete manufacturing, logistic, and automotive industry. We have been members of the GACC for over 10 years. And within our service portfolio, we have also some innovation projects with technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and robotic process automation, which will be the technology that we are going to focus today during our webinar. So what is robotic process automation? Is this suitable for large companies or for startups? It is just applicable for financial processes, or it is also something that we may take a look at for the production and the logistics. It is difficult to implement. It is more from the IT or from the process perspective. So we really want to share with you details that were important and key for have a success at Volkswagen. So David, what can you tell us about our success story at Volkswagen?
Yes, thank you, Victa. Welcome from my side as well. And all I want to say is that in 2021, we started a project together with Volkswagen in Mexico. We began developing RPA bots. And this process was about working with the operational areas of the company, the operational teams. They had acquired the manual activities in several areas had grown to a point that they became part of their processes. And these activities were automated with the bots, and this was about the creating of reports and graphs and emails. These bots are able to do this type of activity. And this project has concluded with its first phase, and we're now going to be moving on to the second phase. And that will be involved with some more activities in a few more areas of the company. So next, I would like to share with you a few indicators from the accounting area of Volkswagen in Mexico. And the accounting area, for example, curiously is the area which has the most experience in RPA in the entire Volkswagen group. These first two items, the 67% increase in monthly transaction throughput, the 38% reduction in monthly hours, these are taken specifically from the fixed asset and inventory control areas. And so far in other areas, there have been 39 processes that have been automated. Several bots have been included in that, quite a few actually. And we as abat are doing monitoring and supporting of these bots as they run throughout the year. We're going to be extending the current time window is from 8 to 5, and we're going to be extending that in the second phase. And by the way, these bots are working to the point where the errors that had been occurring in the manual process, these manual activities, these have been reduced significantly. So Victor, what could you tell us about this? What does this look like?
Thank you, David, for the impressive KPIs. I think we wanted to start with this because we really want to highlight what is behind robotic process automation. That there is really an opportunity for companies to improve their current processes. I think also something very important about this project, David, was the feedback from the users itself. So do we have specific feedback coming from the team working at Volkswagen?
Yes, of course. In general, it's been a success story, but it's been a work in progress also. We have more to do. Last year, we did an interview with the then CIO, Eduardo Nava. And when we spoke to him, he gave us his vision of this project and also gave us some additional comments from the team. His vision was wanting to change the way work was done and using digital agents like these RPA bots to accomplish that. And this has brought several benefits to the company, both quantitative and qualitative. And the teams are also recognizing that there were many repetitive tasks with high volumes of transactions in different business areas. They realized that if it would be possible to automate this, it would free up considerable working hours for the employees and bring greater efficiency to their activities and add value to their work. So we asked them some specific questions. For example, how relevant is this RPA in terms of innovation? And the answer that they gave us was that, well, in our industry, process automation is not really new, but recently it's boomed as a lot of companies have realized the need to innovate and transform themselves to remain competitive in their environment. And that it was also necessary to give the employees the tools and the space for creativity to occur and to devote time to activities that added value to the company. Now, a comment that I would make here is that the environment is really changing. There's global warming and fossil fuel issues, supply chain disruptions, nearshoring. Competition is increasing significantly from many places. There are new players in the industry, mergers and acquisitions from domestic and foreign companies, and some disruptive elements like electric vehicles, like autonomous driving and ride sharing. So at this particular moment, all of this is occurring, and it's really bringing out the fact that competitiveness is going to be key going forward. Another question that we asked them was, do you believe low-code platforms like RPA are important in the automotive industry? Now, this is a really technical term, I realize, but I just wanted to point out something important here for the IT departments, for the financial controllers. What this refers to is that this type of technology doesn't require extensive coding or programmer involvement, nor does it require modifications to existing systems. So it can save time and money. And it works basically at the user interface level. And I will be explaining a little more about that in the next few minutes. So their answer was that, of course, it's really important for us. As a transnational company with lots of years of trajectory, this technology helps them to reinvent the conventional way of working and establish or support their goals of efficiency and digitalization. So as a comment, I would say that the example of Volkswagen in Mexico here, a large company with a certain trajectory in a mature industry, is demonstrating its willingness to reinvent as a way to achieve its goals of efficiency and digitalization. Victor, what could you add here?
Yes, I think this kind of explanation really give us a little bit more of insights how these large companies are looking at this, that, as you say, maybe from the IT perspective are not so complex and are not so maybe fancy, but still they have a lot to deliver for the business. and for the core activities, which is what the customers need to focus on. So I think it is also worth to take a look at these kind of tools and solutions that are in the market. Don't you think, David?
Absolutely. Another question that we asked the Volkswagen team: how have the different teams within Volkswagen welcomed these virtual colleagues? And the answer was that the welcoming has been positive, but it didn't always occur that way. The company realized that they needed to work on their change management initiatives to get the employees to welcome disruptive technologies like this. And they've started activities like botathons and concentrated on discussions on the benefits of RPA. And in this way, it's really become a positive outcome. What I would say here is that this notion of disruption, as compared to the traditional IT project model, how the business areas and the users in these business areas can now become more active participants. And so it's not the classical approach of IT projects, but it provides maybe a complementary or flexible working alternative, one that can adapt and evolve in a really quickly changing industry. And one of the managers that I spoke with, for example, said something interesting. He said, "We learned something new and innovative." And I suppose we can all relate to that. So another question we asked was, what has been the experience working with abat in the development of RPA? And the answer that they gave us was that it was fruitful, and it worked because of collaboration and because of a defined RPA strategy. There have been challenges, and those have been overcome with teamwork. So in commentary, I would say that the RPA strategy has been a critical success factor. They mentioned that this technology is not exclusively for startup companies or technology companies. On the contrary, they say for a company like ours, there are many opportunities where we can explore how the digital workforce could be of help. So again, critical to success, an RPA strategy. But Victor, I think there's something else you could add here, right?
Yes. I think at this point it is very clear that a key success factor is the company or the partner that you are choosing to go with these technologies. Because from the OEM to the tier 1 to the tier 2, if we focus on the automotive industry, which is this success story coming from, they are somehow facing the same challenges, just at different level. So I think one of the main key points to have success is to have a partner that is able to really identify digitalization path. Where are the companies staying, and why they really need at this point. So I think this is one thing. And the other thing is that I would like also to add and to share with the public is the process itself. Because sometimes when we talk about robotic process automation, we just look at the financial, at the very classical kind of administrative tasks that can be improved. But I think what fascinates me from this example from Volkswagen is that there are also some other use cases like logistics and production, right, David?
Yes, here's a quick slide to kind of demonstrate that. There's a lot of detail that we won't go into here, but the financial and accounting areas are having the most activity so far in this first phase, but there have also been activities from the logistics, from production and human resources, and those will be expanded in the second phase, and there will also be some work done in the commercial areas. So they are interested in continuing this and growing in other business areas. So maybe you're asking, what's really going on here, who's been involved, and how are they working together. And it's all about the specialists and the management teams from these three core stakeholders. It's about collaboration. It's about a clear focus on good communication, on teamwork, and on synergies. So we are working in this way with this collaborative framework, and this has led to some success for us in this project. So that's basically what's been occurring with Volkswagen in Mexico and RPA. And there have been many other companies that have succeeded with their RPA projects, and you can find a lot posted on the internet or in the press. I've selected a few from the Harvard Business Review, for example, that you can see here, and from another website called Invoice. And for example, with this Boston Scientific case, interestingly, lots of hours were reduced for employees doing certain activities. This reduction didn't come overnight. It was something that took over a year to accomplish, but nevertheless pretty significant. So maybe you've got a clear idea now of what RPA has been able to accomplish in other companies, but you might be asking, what's in it for me, or maybe even what does it look like? What does an RPA bot look like? Could it be my personal assistant, or could it make my coffee? Could I connect with it in a really profound way? Well, we prepared a brief video to maybe bring some clarity to that, and we'd like to share that video with you now.
ABAT. Meet Jane, an office worker. At one time, her job was complicated, repetitive, and very tiring. She'd spend hours every day reviewing invoices, matching purchase orders, gathering information from separate systems, cutting and pasting to create spreadsheets and graphs that she sent by email to her boss. The workload and pressure made Jane stressed and frustrated at work, and worse, she brought these feelings home. That all changed when Jane's company began using RPA. What's that? It's robotic process automation. Software bots, or digital workers, can be created to record and mimic humans in the way they interact with software applications. They can be set up to do rule-based repetitive actions like copying or pasting information from different applications, reading and verifying invoice data, organizing spreadsheets, and much more. It did not take long to set up, and soon, Jane got her own team of digital coworkers that could do the things that she dreaded, those time-consuming, repetitive, and mundane things. Things that were holding her back from doing other things that would add value to her work. This is the power of intelligent automation, and it allows people like Jane to work smarter, not harder. With RPA, Jane can focus on key initiatives critical to the business and collaborate better with her team. All of this made her very productive and very happy. Think of digital coworkers as the team to automate and accelerate your company's business processes, so workers just like Jane can have time to focus on the important things at work, and even more importantly, the things at home.
Okay, we're back. Thank you very much for your attention there. So, it's software. It's not physical robots. And this technology isn't really all that new. It started about 8 years ago. Slowly, it gained some traction over the years, and now it's growing fairly quickly. In order for it to really work well, though, it needs to involve the business areas, the users in those areas, the managers, and very importantly, the IT area. And doing all of this with these groups and following a few simple steps. Number one, analyzing and selecting an appropriate process candidate, something that we can automate in the right way. Mapping that process and defining specific rules with a software tool. And this is where it gets interesting, because often what we found is that inefficiencies and redundancies are often identified in this part. And those can be eliminated because certainly we don't want to be automating inefficiencies and redundancies. So that is typically a thing that happens. And step number 3, the tool, after this is reached, the tool is able to create the logic, the bot itself, and that can be deployed and programmed to execute whenever it's needed and as often as it's needed. So it's about the bot emulating and integrating the actions of a human working with the system and making decisions based on some established rules. Basically, any stable, high-volume process with defined rules and repetitive actions is a candidate for this. We'd like to know, in which industry group does your organization conduct its core business? We'd like to know, with what you've learned so far, do you foresee RPA being used in your organization? And why or why not? So if you could help us out, please go over to the chat and answer this, and we'll share the results with you in a few minutes. It looks as though it's fairly well distributed between automotive and non-automotive and banking and others. We have in automotive, for example, 20%, non-automotive manufacturing 20%, and banking, finance, insurance also 20%, and a majority of you are basically in other industries. So later on, we'd like to learn more about what industries those are. And for the second question,
Exactly.
So we have a resounding yes, 75%, and 25% say no. And hopefully we could learn more about why no is an answer for some of your questions. And thank you very much for that. Victor, you have a comment?
No, I think it is, as you just said, it's very interesting to know that some of the public are from the automotive industry, but also from other industries, because as you said, we are going to also share some interesting use cases for other non-automotive industries during the presentation. And as well about if they are already planning to implement robotic process automation or not. I think with an example, with a success story from Volkswagen, which is a very international large company, a group. I think there are some second thoughts about what is robotics. It will be maybe worth to think about this kind of projects again in our strategy for some of the companies which are today with us.
Yes, that's what we're seeing. We're getting questions about that quite often. So I'd like to go on and maybe here take a step back and try to answer this question. Why is this even necessary? Why are we talking about this? Why is it important? And I believe it's important because of the trends that are occurring in business today. We heard the comments from the folks at Volkswagen, the need for efficiency and cost reduction and competitiveness, and certainly all of the technological things that are coming up nowadays, but how to put that technology to use in a smart way. And you're probably wrestling with questions like this as well. So Peter Drucker, you probably have heard of him. He coined the phrase knowledge workers. So what are knowledge workers? These are the people who identify and filter relevant information. They solve problems, they answer questions, and they generate ideas. Analytical reasoning is applied by them, and so is judgment. They drive communication and teamwork, and they share their knowledge, and they train others. So you're probably all knowledge workers yourselves, and there are others in your organization as well. And there are still others that have the potential to become knowledge workers, and the question would be, will they be able to realize this? And a couple of other points I'd like to mention from Drucker. he mentions that a couple of observations that he made. Management in the 20th century was able to increase manual worker productivity 50-fold. And in the 21st century, hopefully, we'll be able to do a similar improvement for knowledge workers. But we'll probably be doing it with different methods. For example, process automation. So process automation using IT, it's been driven by business strategy in companies for quite a while as they seek to achieve efficiency and effectiveness and competitiveness. The legacy systems, for example, that have been developed decades ago are addressing these things, and they continue to be used in many of your organizations. But the landscape has also evolved to better support the knowledge workers and give them timely information to make better decisions. Several examples of this have been with the ERP systems that emerged in the 90s, the customer relations management systems and standalone systems, and also modules within the ERP systems focused on CRM. That has occurred as well. And more recently, cloud computing and smart devices and apps have put knowledge at people's fingertips. All designed to support the business strategy and the knowledge workers, and all to deliver value. But sometimes things like this can happen, and the challenge becomes how to continue delivering value in this environment. And this can lead to value being created manually. As ironic as that sounds, it is occurring in many companies. People are extracting data and moving them from one system to another. You saw what poor Jane was going through in the video. This is happening really in many organizations, and it can become institutionalized and part of someone's job. And it becomes the norm. It becomes routine and repetitive and quite dreary and tiring maybe. Also error prone and not secure. So there is a desire of management to be more to have more reliability and control with this, and a desire of the people to be liberated from these types of tasks. Now, the Harvard Business Review, for example, described this phenomenon as systematics, and it can distract and limit the knowledge workers. Now, RPA can address all of these concerns, and in addition, an RPA bot does not receive a salary. It does not get tired. It doesn't make mistakes. All it does is follow rules. And all of the activity that the bot performs can be reviewed for audit purposes if that becomes necessary. So, which activities can be automated with RPA? What we found, the typical activities across the board come from emails and graphics, spreadsheets, web and internet applications and business applications, but also there's some non-typical activities that need to be addressed. Victa, could you tell us about that?
Yes, for sure. So where is the future of robotic process automation going? And I think the answer is quite natural, where all these new topics are going. So from the very traditional automation, we can go to the new technologies like machine learning, like artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, and all these new applications and technologies that are really helping. Again, going back to your last slide, supporting the business strategy, creating value for the business. So I think that this is the key part of this, and we are already creating some prototypes with these new innovative technologies in order to focus on this creation of value for the customers. David.
Yes, thank you. Well, use cases are numerous. We mentioned a few with Volkswagen. I won't go into detail here, but a couple we did not mention, for example, legal and IT itself. And there are many, many others that we could mention. But I want to spend a moment on this slide because I think it's important. There's a lot to unpack here, but basically I would just summarize this by saying that RPA has to be really driven by a business need and aligned with the business processes. It must be compatible with a long-term IT strategy in your companies, and it must be well maintained and continuously improved. So where do we go from here? We just wanted to mention that we have developed a starter package that consists of an introductory workshop where participants from your company would be able to understand how RPA is working, how it's designed to work, and what its potential is. People that are participating in your companies, from your companies, should be from the specific business areas and definitely from the IT area. And together we would do a joint evaluation of some process candidates, looking for which is the most suitable one and which has the most potential. And then we would implement a demo use case with one of these processes. And what we deliver then, Victor, could you tell us about what would be delivered in this?
Exactly. The objective is to have and facilitate how these new technologies can be digested at our customers, different departments, IT and business, as you say. So the main objective and the deliverable is to really have a prototype that is deployed in productive, where our customer can have a return of investment, a very specific year for having these first steps of this technology implemented at the organizations. And if you have more questions about this, I invite you to just go to the QR code and you will find there some other information regarding this starter package. And as I said, the main objective is to really being able to make this new information digestible for all the people in your organization.
And the starter package is really just designed for you to have a clear picture of the steps required for RPA and together with your business-wide strategy and your day-to-day operations, and maybe even have a something that you could share with your management to try to get buy-in. So that's the idea here.
Exactly. The figures there are very manageable and very clear what is behind what we are offering.
Okay, so that's basically the formal presentation that we had prepared for today. I'd like to turn things over to you. If you have questions, please write them in the chat and we'll take a few minutes to answer some of those questions. Okay, one question we have was, why are most RPA bots working in the accounting and the financial areas? That's an interesting question, and it's beginning to change. It seems to have started out that way, and the thinking is that it is more predominant here because in these areas there are some specific rules that are easily identified, perhaps, and those can be implemented in a fairly straightforward way. And that's been what we've observed so far. Victor, would you be able to add something here?
Yes, typically, as I said before, for the robotic process automation, most of the customers, of the people, we tend to associate this with financial processes. This is like it is, and this is very typical. And this was also how this started at Volkswagen. But once we were able to identify the rules that need to be taken into account in order to be able to make this automation for a process. Other business areas start to recognizing, okay, I think I have also a process that maybe accomplish the necessary to be automated, which are, as you just say, error prone, repetitive, manual, and specific and very clear business steps. And these characteristics you can find in across over the organization. This is just not afterwards logistic and production and also human resources just add to this wave of automation within the organization. But first, they tend to be first inspired from the finance colleagues. So I think this is a very natural step, but it doesn't mean that it just focuses on finances. I think this is the real answer to this.
Okay, we are very aware of that. We have another question here that kind of takes us a step further with that idea. It says, how can artificial intelligence and machine learning and generative AI work with RPA? Well, this is still evolving. All of that we've been hearing in the press recently about these chat GPT and machine learning and artificial intelligence applications. This is still evolving. We're working on some prototypes and we've identified ways that some of this can be useful for companies, but it's something that is going to develop over the next several months. Victor, could you maybe shed a little more light on this?
Yes, for sure. So artificial intelligence is based on data. And robotic process automation is based on automating this data. So in the moment that you are having this data in a more efficient way, automated, coming from RPA, you just need to put it together with these new technologies, with this new code from artificial intelligence, which is able to analyze data, to take decisions, and to learn and generate new data. So this is how they correlate. So one is providing the food for the other one. So this is how they work together. And it is just a matter about finding the correct use cases, to having the right data, the right amount of data, but also the right quality. The data quality is also a very, very specific and important thing if you are talking about artificial intelligence and for sure generative artificial intelligence, because you need to feed up with a lot of different information, these new codes, in order that they are able to learn and then to generate.
Okay, well, there was a question from someone that says, if RPA bots are not physical robots, why is it called robotic process automation? Good question. We didn't create the term, but it exists that way. And
yeah.
What I would say is that it probably has to do with the way that the activities can be generated and how they occur and how they can work 24/7, any time of the day, all year round, on holidays and weekends. And in that way, and not make any mistakes, in that way, maybe it's viewed as a robotic type of analogy. But that would be what I would answer.
Yes, well, yes, well, the word or the term, so about a collaboration bot, is, as you say, it's coming from the production itself. So when you have these collaboration bots that are working together with humans, or even taking some of the activities that are quite dangerous. For example, if I think about the automotive industry, the welding part, for example, is not a process where you really need to have a human being there, because it is from the condition perspective, the best conditions to work. And in terms of software, in terms of robotic process automation, they are also emulating what a user is doing every day in their work. So you can provide them with a user, with a password. They can go into the system. They can download things. They can work with Excel, as we explained. They can analyze things. They can go again into your ERP system, upload information, again download, send an email. So it is like a person. So that's why it's also talking about bots, robots, but it's software.
And the analogy is also it can become part of your team of people.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, one other one real quick, if we can squeeze it in. How can I ensure that the security and privacy policies of my company will be respected with RPA?
Yeah.
There are a number of ways to do that. Some of the platforms that we use with this tool have things like data encryption, and of course, you mentioned also, Victor, that there are users that are assigned. The users do have passwords, even though they're not people. They will be assigned a password, and that password has to be entered in by the robot when the access to the system is necessary. And as with all security policies, if the password expires after 30 days or whatever, then the bot's password will have to be modified. And so those steps and those policies are natural to this. And so the security concerns we've seen so far are not really an issue.
No, they are not. They are not an issue, as each user that is created, they run first also through an authorization concept. So each bot is really created according to specific, again, business rules. So as any user in your organization, it is just able to see, to modify, or to do any kind of activity that you just allow. So you give us these business rules, and we create this bot also based on these rules. We have also a testing part and testing period. And as you just said, these bots are not writing the password in a post-it and putting in your desk or something like this, which we humans tend to do. So what we have seen is that they are even more secure than a normal user. So there is no leak of information or no risk of having any kind of security aspect there. At
Okay.
least not as we have it today with humans.
Thank you very much, Victor. With that, we will conclude. And this is our contact information. If you have any further questions, or if you would be interested in having further discussions with this, we are certainly available for you. You can reach out to us with the emails or the telephone, and we'll be more than happy to respond.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much, Hannah. And thank you very much to all the participants for their time and participation.
Yes, thank you also from my side for your participation and your attention.
I think we were able to have a really insightful presentation and discussion from you both. So thank you to you. And I hope that you all in the audience were able to have some of your questions answered, and that you're able to apply what you've learned today in your own organizations. And again, just a reminder, this session was recorded, so you'll receive it via email. And if any burning questions come to you during that recording, feel free to reach out to either of our speakers today or any member of the GCC South team, and we can forward that on. But yes, thank you all for being here today. And thank you again, David and Victor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
ABAT